Welcome back. We're here with Enas from Dublin Toy Emporium. Enas, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm very excited. You are the first toy store that I'm going to be interviewing, and you're a small toy store, so I'm very, very excited to dive into your niche, everything you offer. So thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you doing this interview. Thank you.
Of course. So if you look at the evolution of toys, do you think the evolution has been positive?
Yes, actually, I think it's very positive because it just keeps evolving in different ways. Like each time I see a toy that I think is so innovative and creative, I think, oh, I wish that was around when my kids were little. I just think people keep coming up with new inventive toys, things that really stimulate developmentally. So yes, I love everything that comes out.
And one thing that you do focus on is that development side of toys for kids. Can you talk about why that is an important aspect of your toy store?
Well, I believe that kids learn through play, and so it's important to have particular toys that help them in their development. Like, for example, we have a full array of puppets, and puppets are great for vocabulary, social emotional development. So a lot of the things that we have in here are going to help children grow in different areas.
Yeah, I think a lot of the early stages of kids is playing, and I think a lot of toys can be detrimental, as we see with video games and some of the things that they see in those. So I think definitely providing kids with a way to learn in their subconscious mind is super important for their later development years. And just as like a society and like in general.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think it's still important to have hands-on play. Everything from our crafts that we offer, the art supplies that we offer. Some of my favorite things are the science. Our science area, we have like a talking microscope, a talking telescope. And so a lot of times these early learning is what inspires kids into their future interests.
Yeah. And can you talk about what your most unique toy is that you do have in your shop?
Oh gosh, I really have a variety of things, and I don't know if I could pick a favorite, but what I will say is like I just, pointed out the science, and I have two daughters that went into STEM fields. And I think that science is so much fun with kids. I mean, it's a great way to learn about the world. And I don't know if that helped them to go in that direction, but we definitely did a lot of that. And I think things like the talking telescope, the talking telescope and the talking microscope, for example, they come with things preset in there. It's going to give you information. It's going to do quizzes. It's but just on a fun way. Just learning those things and seeing it visually is really interesting.
Yeah, no, for sure. And when you look at games like Scrabble, why do you think they've lasted so long over the years?
Well, I definitely have a lot of the classics too, because I feel like when something's done well and something's been engaging for years, it just works. And so Scrabble's one of those. Like we have a portable Scrabble that you can take and go, which is really fun because it locks in place. So, say when you travel or you stop and you're at a restaurant and you're waiting, you can do a little bit of Scrabble there. But yeah, there are things that are just, they're fun, they work. Sometimes it doesn't have to be too complicated. Some of the simple games that we remember are the best.
Yeah. And can you kind of dive into your event space that you have in your toy store that you are sitting in right now?
Yeah, so we're sitting in Fairy Hollow, and we developed this room because we are on the fairy trail. So if you come to Dublin, you can look for little fairy doors. And being a toy store, of course, we're going to totally embrace that. We have an outdoor fairy garden that the kids play in. But this space, we have classes, events, people rent it. even things for like baby showers, wedding showers, birthdays. It's just a beautiful space. And so people also enjoy doing things back here as well.
And have you ever had an experience when a child comes into your store and they just have to have one of your toys?
Yes, that is a part of the learning process for kids. And, parents tend to have really good strategy. So, I mean, um, it's a good thing for them that they do. I mean, some of the things they do is say, well, let's take a picture of it and we'll keep it for Christmas. Sometimes that works. Um, they make a list. Sometimes if I have Coco here, which is my dog, and she comes along every once in a while, they really love her. I let them, like, she sits on a little stroller next to me. They push her out to the door, say goodbye to Coco. We have an outdoor fairy garden, so sometimes they will say, let's go out and play in the fairy garden. But I mean, honestly, it is a learning experience. You don't want to prevent all those difficult situations. It's how they develop that skill. And if they have a tantrum, they have a tantrum. It's part of it. And they self soothe, and you can help them soothe. And it's just part of the learning process. Even just coming in and buying a gift for somebody else is something that it has to be practiced.
Yeah. No, like absolutely. And like over the years of you being in business, what is the hardest lesson that you've had to learn?
I think in general, the thing that I think if you really want to do something and you're really committed, when something gets difficult, you just find a way to work through it and around it. And within time and continual work, those things usually resolve itself.
Do you think that's what separates some of the people that succeed in business is someone that continues to push themselves forward versus just giving up when things get hard?
Uh, I can only speak for myself because I know there's so many variables to take into it. I mean, your economic situation, your life situation. I'm in a time in my life where this is, I'm able to devote time to it. My kids are grown. So I think I have a lot of variables that work. But then on top of it, yes, like, things will happen and you may worry about it, but it's better to be proactive and find solutions and try to work through it because it's a matter of timing and creativity and just working through it.
Yeah. And on the personal side of things, do you think to be happy that we have to have a purpose?
For me personally, um, I like having a purpose. That to me, I don't know whether it's happiness because I think happiness is a fluctuating state, and you continue to work on that as well. Whenever something happens, you just choose to, find solutions, be positive, and but personally, I feel like I like having a purpose.
Do you
It
think
makes me
that's what
more fulfilled. I'd say fulfilled over happiness.
do you think you need to be happy to be fulfilled?
Um, I like I said, I think emotions um, can fluctuate, and I think the goal is to work towards happiness. But I don't think of it as a goal. I just think if I work towards fulfillment brings contentment, and contentment to me is what I long for. That's happiness to me is contentment.
Yeah, I think especially being in the entrepreneur space, there's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of
Yes.
emotions going up, and then one thing good happens in the morning, and then something bad happens at night. So I think that's just a natural cycle of the entrepreneur of like maybe my life isn't meant to be happy. It's meant to find that nice middle ground, which is being content.
Yes, I have to say, most parts, I'm pretty content. Yes, I have, life is full of frustration. Sometimes
Yeah,
technology doesn't always cooperate. I have to work through that. But am I content? I'd say yes.
yeah, I love it. I have two more questions for you. If you could have dinner with two people, one person from the past
Okay.
and one person from the present, who would it be and why?
Wow, there's so many people that I'd like to have dinner for. I don't know. When I think of the past, for whatever reason, I've always really resonated with Gandhi. I know that's
Okay.
kind of a strange thing, but I don't know that whole. I just think he really worked internally. You know, he's human. He's not a perfect person. I think whenever you put someone up on a pedestal, they always try to knock him down.
Yeah.
I know there's things about him that you could probably pick at, but I think his purpose, I think he did work towards peaceful resolution, and so I really admire that. When I think about currently who I would like to meet, I don't know why I dwell in the past a lot, but maybe an author. I mean, I read a lot, and I'd have to think which author that would be, because I still think I like a lot of the authors from the past. So, I mean, I love The Hobbit, and I don't know, but I think I would probably really think about a book. Oh, I know. I just read a book, and it's a really a very philosophical and um, very dense book, but it was called The Rigor of Angels, and it the author of that, which I totally forget, intersected uh, like literature, philosophy, and quantum physics, all
Interesting.
from the angle of um, how we perceive our world and reality, and so that was kind of interesting to take a look at. And I had so many more questions after reading it, because it was a dense book that I had to really think about. So maybe I want to meet him.
What
So,
is what is one of the questions that you had after you finished reading the book?
wow, I had so many questions. Well, first of all, I found the author fascinating, because, like, how many people are going to bridge these things?
Yeah.
And I think he's a professor at John Hopkins, and but he's in the humanities section. But all his stuff about, and I'm more of a humanities girl too. So, like, I really like the sections where it was based in literature. It was like, wow, like I really get it. It's like it painted a visual for me. But I just wondered, where did he get this to kind of look at these three disciplines? And I was really intrigued about, like, is it that he's having these conversations with his colleagues, or, like, just even that on a basic level, like, how did he get there?
I think there's so many unanswered questions from life, of just everything from what happens when we die to
Yes,
what's our true meaning here.
yes.
And I think business is cool and I love business, but I think that side of life is more fascinating because we'll never know.
Yes, and that is a big part of the book too, the unknowns. There's always an unknown area. And then he talks a lot about the observer. So, like, we can never observe ourselves from above. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have a God ability to look over things. So that really changes our where we observe and our perspective. And there's going to be a lot that we don't know. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It seems like to me that you have really learned to be okay with the unknown.
Yes, I think I mean, because there are so many things that are unknown, you just have to make peace with that. And I'm okay with that, honestly. I just choose to have faith every day that things are going to work out, even if I have to go through something.
Yeah. Is there, because I feel like this is a topic that people really struggle with, is that factor of the unknown. If that's what's my life going to look like in a year or two, am I going to die? What are some simple practices that you put in place to accept the unknown?
I think I kind of focus every day on the day. At the moment, I try to, like, I start my day that way, where I really, like, focus in on the questions I have about where I'm at, and what's important and how I can be connected to that. I try to let go of the things that I can't control, because, again, I don't know, the older you get, peace and contentment are way more important than
Yeah.
anything else. I saw a study that they said if you can make it past a certain age, like, middle age can be really tough, but if you can make it past that, there is a sense of peace and contentment. And maybe that is because at that point you realize that that is the place to be, and you have to cultivate that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
Why did you decide to partner with us and offer the discounts?
Well, you did make it a little easy by, I'm going to be honest, because, being a small business, money matters. I have to kind of think about that. And so the fact that I didn't have to spend anything really, is valuable to me. And I'm curious to see what happens with it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, we appreciate you trusting us early on in the process. And those are the questions I have for you. How can people find you? And what is one thing you want to leave people with?
So we are present on social media, Instagram, Facebook. We have a webpage. We are in the heart of Dublin, Ohio, in the historic district. I'm going to give a shout out to Tucci's that is across the street. So if you know where that is, because that's been a long established restaurant here, we're right across the street. And then what do I want to leave you with? That going to a toy store is a memorable experience for kids, for a family, and you can see that every day when the kids come in, whether they're, they've earned some money and they get to spend it on something, or just coming in. We try to cultivate a very, as you can see, magical place. And so, like, even when you walk in, there's giant plush animals, and the kids get excited about that, and you hope that further down along, they say, do you remember when you used to go to that toy store and you picked out something, or you went looking for the fairy doors? So I look at it as quality family time.
I love it. Well, Enas, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, not only sharing your business, but a little philosophy as well. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.